Hello and welcome to another one of D's ADD videos. Today we're going to be looking at functions, the concept of functions. What is a function? Well, a function is a relationship between two variables, one being the independent variable, that's x, and then the dependent variable, y. If you remember, most of the times we can rewrite y as f of x. Well, that means a function depending on what x is. And what that represents is that for every independent value, there needs to be one and only one corresponding dependent value. And this is actually incorrect over here. Okay, that means for every x, we need one and only one y. So let's rewrite that. So for every x, for every y. Okay, so one x for every y. Anytime we see the x is repeated with different y's, then it's not a function. Okay, this is pictorially demonstrated if we were to look at the vertical line test. If you take an imaginary vertical line anywhere in your function, then you're going to end up crossing your function or intersection your function one time if it is a function. But if not, then it's just a relationship. So if I'm looking at this here, you see how no matter where I put this vertical line, I'm only going to intersect it once. Okay, so so that is a function as a result. However, if I look at this example here, and I draw a vertical line, you should be able to see that I am going to hit it twice. So let's say you don't know what the graphs are. How would you prove it? Well, you just plug in. If you know one value for y, for x, and then if you get one answer. Okay, notice I didn't have to square root both sides. It was already taken as the positive square root, so that's why I only have one answer here. Then yes, it's a function. But if you have something like this, where you actually have to square root both sides, then you get plus or minus 2 for the x value of 4. So because you got two y values there, that would not be a function. Okay. If we're looking at sets, just look for repeats. Here there's no repeats in the x values, so we're good to go. We know that's going to be a function. Whereas here, you should be able to recognize immediately that 3's have two different, the x value of 3 has two different y values, so therefore it's not a function. Okay, hope that clarifies that part of it. Now let's look at some basics to do with functions. What can they ask you to do with a function? Well, first thing they might say is, given that a function is something, plug in a numerical value and evaluate it. Okay, most of you guys have done this long enough to where you should be able to just know it's going to be a, oops, that should have been a red. Not that it matters, but let's see how we need to be back on. Oops, instead of x, we need a 2 there. So we have 3 times 2 squared plus 1, which gives us a 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13. If I have a 3 times x plus h squared plus 1. Again, this is just a concept video, so I'm not going to actually evaluate it all, but you would end up foiling this out. And then combining your like terms here, you would take that minus your function, so it would be the 3x plus h squared plus 1 minus the whole function. A lot of people forget this parentheses. Don't forget it. It'll mess you up. Okay. Then you can evaluate all that by foiling this out, distributing the 3, distributing the negative sign, combining your like terms. The only difference between this one is you would plug in your f of 3 and divide by x minus 3, not h, so it would look just like what we had up there. Oops, that's a squared. Plus 1 minus the f of 3 would be plugging in a 3 there, so it's 9 times 3 is 27, plus 1 is 28 over x minus 3, and then you would simplify that. Okay, so again, this is just a concept video trying to tell you what to do, not actually solve it. If given that f and g, you would just add the two functions for that. So it'd be 3x squared plus 1 plus x plus 12. And then you would combine these like terms right there and rewrite that again. Concept here mainly, but since this is nice and easy, I'll just go ahead and work that one out. Here on this one, don't forget the parentheses on your g of x. It's minus the whole thing. Okay. And then you get some answer. And then here you would have multiplication, so you would FOIL this out. And then there'll be an example video for each of these concepts, okay? So check those out. Here we have 3x squared plus 1 over x plus 12, and x cannot equal 12 because the denominator can never equal 0. And then if we did the composite functions, that means f of g of x. That means plug in a g of x everywhere you see an x in your original function f. So that would be x plus 12 squared plus 1 instead of the x. And then you would simplify that. Or if it was the other way around, it would be 3x squared plus 1 plus 12. Okay? I did these kind of fast just because I'm trying to explain the concept here, not actually do the work. So g of f of x is what I did right there. Plug in f of x everywhere you see an x in your g of x function. Okay? So if you can do these, if you understood those basic concepts, then you're good to go for functions. Make sure you check out the example videos. Just make sure you're on point. You know, you can do these example videos and practice the problems before actually looking at the solutions. All right? So thank you and have a nice day.